Well, side quest. We having let me rephrase, 3 different projects going on all at the same time. The first one is, of course, the drum brake delete or disc brake conversion, because just a drum alone is $200, and I can get, that's one drum is $200, because there are NLA has everything on this bus, but I can get the 2 calipers and rotors for about $200, maybe a little less. So anyway, we're waiting on the Eldorado calipers with parking brakes, because if I didn't put parking brakes, the caliper alone is like $60, something like that. Anyhow, yeah, the discs are, the drums are hanging out there waiting. Maybe somebody will need them. And then project number 3, 2, whatever. Well, you see the engine is half naked in there. So the main project was cooling system. Since the radiator is not here, it's over there. And by the location of the cooling things, so it has an oil cooler and a transcooler, but original drawings show transcooler on that side and oil cooler on this side. So this is also adapted from something. It's not original to the RV, but I didn't get, well, I'll show you in a minute. So that's project number 2. And project number 3, well, maybe 4. I was chasing leaks, and I think I found one. It was my fuel pump was leaking because the previous owner didn't bother to tighten it at all. Pretty much anything they touched is just barely finger tight. Same thing was for the carburetor. And the fuel pump is off because the carburetor is off. Carburetor is hanging right here because we're putting in an EFI system, and for that I have a fuel pressure regulator. Had to get the carb adapters because of course this just bolts on right with no magic. Yeah, you wish. So yeah, fuel pressure regulator. Since we have primary and auxiliary fuel tank, we have a surge tank that we're gonna feed through a little low pressure electric pump into here, and high pressure electric pump through the fuel regulator to the EFI system. A bunch of parts. And this is the radiator situation. I don't know if you can tell, but there was a tiny gap in there. Well, we're gonna put that gap at the bottom, snug it up to the top, because the condenser is at the top. Anyhow, so we'll just have to cobble something together. I spent another $100 at Home Depot buying materials. So as you can see, we're losing a little bit of heating, cooling capacity, but I think we'll be okay because we're gaining it with being more efficient, more rows, and that whole ordeal with it being aluminum. And also we're gonna remove Well, this one has only one, just a transcooler. But we're not gonna run a transcooler. We're gonna run transcooler externally, and I'll buy another one. One more of these to run an oil cooler. So we're gonna remove that heat from the main radiator and kind of put these two side by side here in front next to the condenser. That should remove that heat from the cooling system and let the air take it over. And I have a dual fan setup from Ford Explorer Police Interceptor Edition. So that should be really good and moves lots of air. Hopefully it kind of fits, but we'll cobble something together. So anyhow, today's job is to get this thing kind of buzzed in here and this rusty piece deleted. Because yeah, as you can see, it is chewy and thin and holy. So we're gonna address this situation. I think since it's kind of wet and rainy today, I don't want to lay under the RV. Let's do some welding and fabric cobbling. Turns out it is better to be lucky than really good. This thing fits perfectly. So here it is, the low pressure fuel transfer pump from those two tanks. Hardline plumbed in to the front because we have a 2-tank selection switch in there. Everything comes here. Post filter, fuel pressure regulator. Let's see. This is a surge tank. High pressure fuel pump. Sends stuff to the fuel pressure regulator. That's the return back to the tank. That's the return. That's the feed. And we just have to make one more AN line to feed the throttle body fuel injector thingy. So this is the return. Had to drill a hole, tap it, and JB welded just for good measure. That's the return, the highest point in the system, so this thing is always full. That's the feed. We ran aluminum line all the way to that Carter vein fuel pump, not a clickety clackety. That's the big block. So that's our surge tank. You can see the radiator. Well, let's get in there. As you can see, we deleted the mechanical fan with the clutch. So this is the tranny cooling lines. That's the engine oil cooling lines. We just spliced into the original hard lines. And that's how our sandwich looks. Radiator, condenser, tranny cooler, engine oil cooler. Right in here, and this is our police interceptor thingy with 2 big fans. So that's the state of affairs right now. So fuel system is considered done. All we need to do is run the line to the throttle body, which is not on yet. All the lines for cooling is done, radiator is done. We have new water pump, new thermostat neck, new lower upper radiator hoses, new belts. So pretty much all buttoned up here. What's left is actually finishing the brakes. As you can see, the axles are still hanging out there, but the brackets are made and drying. So So that's tomorrow's project if it's not raining. While we're waiting for Amazon to bring us some stuff, let's work on some things we need to do here. So first thing we need to do, or maybe second, take that vacuum switch thingy majigger out. It opens vacuum based on temperature, and that's the temperature sensor for the gauge. And we need to stick one in for the EFI system, so we're gonna fuck that off and put the one from the kit. And the next thing we need to do is get the distributor out of here, locked, all the advances. But for that we need to set the engine where we want it to be, which is 15 degrees before top dead center. I've already done some arts and crafts, build us a degree wheel that we're gonna probably glue a magnet to the front pulley where it's turning so I can see, and find the TDC right now, because we have a TDC mark on the balancer, so I can align the balancer and then move it 15 degrees before top dead center. So the engine will be in the correct spot, and once we do everything that we need to do with the distributor and plug it back in here, we can align everything together. So the pickup needs to be aligned, and we want the rotor button aligned, well, the pointer aligned right in the center of the number one, because number one is right here according to the manual. Right, so the distributor rotates counterclockwise, and our number one cylinder is right here. So I need to pop the cap off and see. I think we're close to TDC over there. Need to see if the rotor is pointing here or here, if we need to rotate another revolution, because this rotates once while the crank twice. So let me find some screwdrivers and get this all set up. So our number one is somewhere here, so we're almost 360 out, so I'll need to turn it more than 360 over to move it somewhere here. I don't know if you will see. Oh yeah, you can. So here we go. We're what, 2 degrees before top dead center on the opposite bank. So we need the 360 revolution of the crank. Whew, it's morning and already getting hot. Okay, we're pointing at number one. That means number one is at TDC, right? Yep. Okay. So now let's fix our arts and crafts project and rotate back 15 degrees. So this is my arts and craft project. Borrowed the dial indicator because it has a magnet to be our indicator, and you see just some magnets holding my cutout degree wheel. So now we go back 15 degrees, and that will be our mark. So we went 15 degrees. Let's go up top and take a look at it. It's really hard to see in there. Everything's buried. Focus. Well, it's focusing on the wrong thing. I'm not sure if you will be able to see it. There we go. Let's call it 15 degrees. Can you spot the difference? I think we have a difference. Well, we need to buy us an adapter from this to that. here it is, the distributor. Advance is locked. Let's see, I need more hands. Right, this can't move. That's our reluctor reel. Magnets, extended the lines. Our VR pickup. So that's basically the stuff. We don't need that doodad. But the problem is I need to run to the store because my roll pin that was holding the gear just was cracked inside, I'm guessing. When I was driving it out, it just crumbled. So I can't put the gear back on. Need to run to the store, get some roll pins. But yeah, you remove these things and the springs. That's the lockout. And then the vacuum advance also got removed. I made a little plate that gives me a little bit of adjustment because we want to line up those puppies right like that on the center. Everything's on the center. And then want this aligned on the center, not somewhere here, right? So when we are at 15 degrees, everything should line up. So everything's attached. So we successfully acquired a roll pin assortment kit. Went to Hobo Freight and escaped almost unharmed. $5 worth of damages. So now we can attach stuff together. So what the KillShot documentation is talking about, aligning everything. Come on, focus here. So I have the drawn where the, well, missing a hand. Okay, so I'm draw where number 1 post will be, aligned the middle of the rotor, you know, with that. And now we need to look inside and make sure that the little ears align perfectly. You see they're inside ones. Really hard to tell. Yeah, we're gonna rotate with my knee. See, so you don't want to be in a situation where, right. Oh, okay, let's look through this hole. You see the inside triangles and the outside triangles. So basically we want to align because that's where the pulse is. Right, so we're visually aligning that and then those little guys. You see, Beep. They're pointing at each other. So I think we're aligned pretty well. And how did we achieve this alignment? With the very long holes. So this is where the vacuum advance is, right? So it rotates the inner ring. Rotates that. So I was pretty much at that end. I could have gone, but yeah, I ran out of hole. So I had to keep chewing at this hole until we went all the way that way. And this is just basically a little screw welded from the inside. Okay, that's locked in, not going anywhere. So the distributor is back together. I hammered in the roll pin, so this side is good. We just need to attach a Dodge connector, because whatever KillShot is using some sort of ID, I couldn't find that connector, and I have a bunch of weather pack seal Dodge connectors, so we're gonna snip that off from the wiring harness and attach one here, and distributor is good as new. Hey look, with the magic of internet, I made a hole smaller. well, just Amazon brought me an adapter. Coolant temp sensor installed, which means now we can fill her up with antifreeze and start mounting the throttle body and figuring out the fuel line, throttle hookups, vacuum lines, and all that jazz. This was unplugged. That was a vacuum leak. Distributor still off. Oh no. So yeah, we can start putting stuff on and then laying out the wiring and figuring out where everything goes. Nothing ever bolts on, right? So I bought 2 brackets. Well, as you can tell, this one uses bolts from the bottom and they're too short. The throttle cable bracket goes right here, so that one needs modifying, but I think I'm gonna switch to the metal broken adapter, because this kit has longer studs, so I don't have to go to the software store to find longer bolts, and this is just a fancier bracket. Oh, this thing is heavy. This one is just something, but anyhow, the KillShot has these ports on the back, so we'll just need to make sure that the gasket doesn't cover the entry to them, and they can still sense vacuum. We're gonna use gonna use this gasket, not the Edelbrock one, and I should give it vacuum to the ports that it wants. Okay, mainly this one. Okay, so let's take this off and put this on. Had to take this little guy out from here because it was hitting this corner, as you can tell, and it wasn't going down enough, but Amazon delivered, so we're gonna replace it with a plug here and figure out where. I think we have, oh yeah, we have plenty of vacuum ports to hook up what got disconnected. This guy and this guy got disconnected from here. So let's plug that up and throw this on again. I don't know if you can see, but there is a ginormous guy sitting there, size of my palm. Anyhow, and he's moving. Scared me the first time. So we put the throttle body on, plugged up these ends. The fuel pressure center goes into this end. That's where the plugs, that thing is. So the wiring harness, electrical hoses go here, and we're just gonna run a short little loop into there. Oh. As I'm hooking up the last thing before we go into the electron hoses, I get the realization this is not the last thing. Because what we also need to do is find the exhaust down there somewhere and add the bung for an oxygen sensor. Because this pre-1980s analog stuff didn't have it. So I need to go find the bung, find the hot glue stick gun thingy-majigger, make a hole, and weld it in. Here we are. We achieved a technically precise and specified opening in the exhaust pipe. Well, I started on electron hoses while you were not watching. I don't know what you were doing, but I got the wrapping off from this portion. Built myself a pigtail to go to my 2 cooling fans. So I need to get all these dingleberries off the wiring harness, because we had 2 relays, main and fuel pump relay and fuel pump hose, and main relay and main, and I'm drawing a blank. Main fuse, fuel pump fuse, 2 relays. They were just dangling, you know, with the... Anyhow, so I have a little distribution block, made a little plate. This will be our negative rail, this will be our positive rail. We have a spot for 6 relays and fuses, and we're gonna use 5 right now because 2 are here already. So main, fuel pump. Well, we need the second fuel pump, so I'm gonna run 2 separate ones from the same trigger. So it will be low pressure fuel pump, high pressure fuel pump, and we also have 2 electric fans. So we need fan 1 and fan 2, and this will leave us with 1 empty spot for something in the future. So yeah, let me start getting stuff set up. Let me hook up probably the ground and the main. We'll see how it goes. I haven't worked with this little kit, so you have to crimp stuff. It's weather packed from the bottom, so, and a pack seal, so this should be good. Well, you'll see where it mounts. It will be in the front under the cover, under the hood, so it will be in a dry spot anyway, but more protection never helps, right? Dingleberries are off, and we have everything wired minus the 2 fuel pumps. So I need to run the wires in the RV, that way, in the RV, figure out how much length I need, or maybe even attach them right here, figure out which way they're gonna come back. So that's what we're missing for the relays, the actual wires that go to the 2 fuel pumps that are gonna sit here. That's wired in, or fan 1, fan 2, main, low pressure, high pressure, or doesn't matter which one, basically. So yeah, main is 30, the rest are 20. 2 fans. All of these will get attached once I plug in the relays through the back. We have here's the whole rail. For positive, we have attached the negatives for the fans, because it's all in plastic and radiator is not even grounded probably, which we'll probably need to ground the radiator because it has the level sensor in it, but it's 1 wire, so it grounds, well, it opens to ground, right? It basically closes to ground once there is no contact there, probably, however it's done, but it's single wire, and the radiator is held by rubber thingies. So I'm assuming radiator has no continuity to ground. I'll have to check that. Good catch. Thank you, guys. So that's all that we can do today. I need to crawl under and wire up the 2 pumps. Have a reel of 14 gauge. That should do. Nice sunny day. Just a couple hours before it will start storming again. So we have the electron hoses all sorted out. ECU mounted, relays, everything's wired. Don't mind that, it's all temporary until it's permanent. So power is hooked up, ground is hooked up, battery is hooked up. I think all the connections are in. I filled up with coolant. Let's go inside and turn the key and see what we see. Okay, I turn the key on, something is running. Oh, okay, it's the door buzzer, I think. Yeah, it is the door buzzer. Let me turn it off because it's annoying. There we go, disconnected. It's this little guy that's been making all this noise. Okay. So, it's alive. I hooked up something, right? So let me go through the initial setup thingy majigger. Need to check if all my thingies see what they need to see, do the throttle calibration and all that jazz. Something's not on. Let's go digging. Let me find my multimeter and see what's what. Well, apparently I wired something wrong. So this is the main relay. My multimeter is on the buzz mode. Right, so we have power. We have power coming here, here, right? One of the leg, it goes to that one, it goes, but then we should have power on one of these. Like here or here, because the other side is controlled by this guy. We know that we picked up the correct wire for having the key on, ignition on, because the head unit power's on, so I think we're just missing power here on one side of the main relay, because we have the power to switch. One of these comes from ECU and the other side should be hooked up to power, so the relay can fire. That explains it. I didn't wire it wrong. It's just my crimp let go. So now I need to fish it out of there somehow. Let's see. Oh, I need a pick, something, depinning tool. Let's go looking for tools. Okay, let's try the ignition now. Yeah, I hear the pump. Okay, yep, we got the prime. Oh, look at that. Okay, now we're seeing battery. Throttle position. 15 degrees. Okay, so let me go through the setup here real quick. I need to pay attention what's going on in here, not in here. See you in a bit. Okay, I went through initial setup. It asked me to turn it off. I went through the whole thing. It sees a bunch of different things in there. Well, and she runs just like that. Now we're digging through some other stuff. I saw that KillShot. Well, first of all, we're low on coolant, so the engine is heating up. But I noticed that KillShot was turning on the fan, but fan wasn't running, so we blew a fuse, and the fan output is pretty much shorted out to ground. So I need to get under there and see what's going on, because it's showing 0.3 ohms to ground, and I would expect the motor to be better than that. Let's see what's going on here. Well, as you can hear, the fan is running. I threw in a 35. I don't know if I blew the fuse doing something here, or 20 is a little too low for the big ass fan. So let me throw in another 35 and we'll go start it up and see what happens. Okay, we're idling just fine. Fans are not running. Too hot. Thermostat open. Everything's happy. She's not smoking. I probably need to get a little thingamajigger. Waiting for 90 something degrees for the fan to kick on. And then I'll go to the store and get some more coolant. Because I'm out of antifreeze. She was empty. No leaks. We had one from the heater core hose over there. We tightened up the clamp. So we're waiting for the fan to kick in. Here we go, fan kicks on. And it's doing its job. Ooh, it's blowing hot on me. Look, temperature not rising anymore. Should probably open the heater valve. Yeah, temperature is not rising. Nice. Yeah, the fan is doing great. And that's only one. We have an extra one, just in case. Anyhow, I'm gonna shut her off and run to Extortion Auto, get another jug of coolant. Well, the cover doesn't fit, but luckily we have enough space to make some clearance for that end of it, and we'll be good. We'll throw back that piece on top and we'll be mint. There we go, clearance provided. That corrugated pipe is a bit thicker. I'm gonna get some silicone hoses and 3-inch aluminum piping, because yeah, and we'll have clearance. So now we can throw the metal cover and call it done. Rainforest delivered a 3-inch clamp, so now we can finish it up. So here's the finished product. We have this thing from 90s, 2000s Jeep Grand Cherokee V8 engine. Fits nicely under the cover. And 3-inch pipe with a open element filter sticking right there in the fresh air. So I made a clamp here to hold everything tight. So we're gonna replace this temporary permanent zip tie with a clamp and call this finished. I know internet has trust issues, so yes, I did replace the zip tie with the clamp. So now this going nowhere. Okay, let's put the lid on, assemble the sides, lay some carpet down, throw some seats in. It's time to get this roadworthy.